Grizzlies fans know it's the team that gives you the edge. Big River Steel does too. And much like the Grizzlies have recruited legendary talent, we want you to be part of our team. Are you ready to be part of something legendary? Then visit www.bigriversteel.com. That's www.bigriversteel.com.
Sonic Radio. Welcome back to Sonic RNDIO. That spells radio with me, the CIO. This just in, the new Sonic $1.99 menu lets you build a crave-worthy meal for just $1.99 an item. Whether that's a creamy shake, crispy tots, or a quarter-pound double cheeseburger. This just out. Ostriches. They're mean, not very cute, and in my opinion, way too big for a bird. Don't miss the Sonic Fun 99 menu. 5 items, always $1.99. Live free, eat Sonic.
Tax not included. See menu for details.
Grizzlies fans, dunks, dimes, and no-looks are great on TV, but nothing compares to catching them IRL. And that starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight in person. From seeing your favorite Grizzly stars up close to hearing the squeak of the sneakers on the hardwood. Put that jersey collection to use and get tickets at Ticketmaster. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside, Memphis.
How much have you added weight since your rookie year?
Bro, I think I was like 20?
Your rookie, you were
40 pounds.
You
I'm
were
like 265.
You 265 right now?
In between that and like 273, I'm floating in there.
You have looked at a scale and it said 273.
With shoes on, but still.
Too little.
That's not phone posits either, right?
The Chris Vernon Show, live on weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Live from the Built Ford Tough studio at FedEx Forum, it's the Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South, on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app. Now, here's your host, Gary Parrish.
All right, I'm here. My name is Gary Parrish. I'm speaking to you from the Built Ford Tough studio, FedEx Forum, downtown Memphis. Bennett Doyle right there producing the program. Glad he's with me. Glad you're with me. Hope you're getting through the day best you can. And I hope to God you didn't take the Grizzlies on the money line against Brooklyn a couple times over the past week, because if so, that didn't go so well for you. Lost again to the Nets, Bennett. Not supposed to do that.
Stupid Nets.
You're not supposed to do that in the NBA. If there's one thing I know about the NBA, is that you're not supposed to lose to the Nets twice.
I don't think so.
Oh, my God. Fun game, though. Got some highlights. Zach Edey had a historic performance. We'll talk about it momentarily. First, though, quickly, let me set today's schedule for you. Jason Munz, he covers the Tiger basketball program for the Commercial Appeal. He's going to be in studio in the next segment. Big win for the Tigers last night inside FedEx Forum. Missouri, they still haven't won a game in the year 2024. Maybe next time out. Big win for Penny and his program. Jason Munz will be here to talk about it in the next segment. When I finish talking to Munz, I'll take a break, come back, do 5 more things you need to know, at which point we're going to discuss 5 previously undiscussed stories. Among them, Ryan Silverfield's Monday press conference after a disappointing loss to UTSA was interesting. A couple of quotes stood out. We'll discuss those. We'll do it in about 40 minutes. ESPN's Jason Kelce last night, before Monday Night Football, addressed his weekend altercation with a young person at the Penn State-Ohio State game. We'll show you what he said. We'll do that in just a bit. The Chiefs beat the Bucs 30-24 last night to improve to 8-0. Back-to-back Super Bowl champs, remain the only undefeated team in the NFL. I'll ask Bennett about that a little later on in the show. Mark Few's son went viral last night in Gonzaga's blowout of Baylor. Woo! We'll show you why. We'll do that in the second hour. And it's Election Day in America. Exciting day. Have you already voted, Bennett?
Dude, I haven't. I have to go vote this afternoon, and I'm a little nervous about it, to be quite honest.
What are you so nervous about? I'm not nervous.
Oh, it's just I'm afraid I'm going to be there for like an hour.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hey,
Although, I mean, do we really? We don't turn out in like droves to vote necessarily in this city, do we?
I don't know how it works exactly.
I think I'll be fine.
We'll get Bennett. I'll let Bennett make his case for his preferred candidate in the presidential election. We'll do that during a segment we call 5 More Things You Need to Know. Then we'll eventually do GP's carry-out and call it a day. So that's the rundown. We got a lot to get to, but I did want to start with your Memphis Grizzlies because Game 8 of a scheduled 82 was played last night in Brooklyn, New York. It was fun in the sense that Ja had highlights and Zach made history, but the result was not the desired outcome. Final score, Nets 106, Grizz 104. Final play was designed for Ja Morant. It got blown up by Dennis Schroeder, which led to a Santi Aldama potential game-winning 3 from like 28 feet. And as Drew Hill wrote in the Daily Memphian, it hit nothing but net. It did hit nothing but net. Problem is it didn't go through the rim. See, nothing but net, I don't know if you know this about basketball, but one of the things I've learned about basketball is that nothing but net only is a good thing if it goes through the rim first, right? But if you do nothing but net without going through the rim, you know what they call that? Air ball.
I think that's what they call it.
That is called an air ball, so the game ended with an air ball. Grizz are 4-4, 2 losses to Brooklyn. That's a Brooklyn franchise that's supposed to be tanking for Cooper Flag.
I don't think they got that memo.
Why don't they tank? Why don't the Nets? All I heard all offseason that the Nets are going to tank for Cooper Flag. And, it's November 5th, and the Grizzlies have already lost twice to them. Why?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I will say that was a foul on Dennis Schroeder. I'm just like, if Ja Morant's a superstar in this league, he should have gotten the superstar call there. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
That was BS. I thought he looked at that. He was pissed too because it was a foul. But whatever. It's the end of a game. Sometimes they don't make those calls. Fine. You
can't touch Steph Curry like that.
If that exact same play would have happened to Steph Curry, you best believe the ref would have blew the whistle there. But whatever, it didn't happen, and I guess probably shouldn't have been in a close game with the Nets.
You don't foul him there. You know what we're headed for?
Yeah,
maybe another 360 layup.
Yeah, exactly.
The third of the game.
I don't. Who knows what the Nets are? It's so early in the season. I will say, I know they all count the same in the standing, and so all wins and losses are created equal in the NBA. They just are, but they don't all feel the same. And that loss felt way different than the loss to the Nets a week ago, where it just felt like, oh my God, this might be bad. This might be going in a bad direction. That last night felt like they were on the road. It was a close game. The Grizzlies had a chance to win it at the end, and they didn't, and that happens in the NBA.
I didn't think the first loss to Brooklyn was an indication that things might be going in the wrong direction. I just thought it was frustrating because you watched a winnable game become a loss while Ja and Jaren were sitting on the bench, in my opinion, for too long in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
I know the idea behind it. I know what they were trying to do, but it just felt like a missed opportunity. You don't give away games to teams like Brooklyn with your two stars sitting on the bench in the fourth quarter for 4 or 5 minute stretches. Or at least I wouldn't do it, even early in the season, because like I said last week, all games count the same. A win over the Celtics counts just as much as a win over Brooklyn. You can take any of the 29 teams besides the Grizzlies, throw them into those sentences. They work exactly the same.
Yep.
Last night didn't feel like that at all. John Jaren were in the game.
Yeah, they both played over 30 minutes.
They both played over 30 minutes. You know what last night felt like? Yeah, missed opportunity in the sense that, you had a lead in the fourth quarter. You had a chance to win it at the buzzer. Missed opportunity, sure. But more than anything, the Grizzlies are like in a bad place right now, health-wise.
Of course.
They're missing 2 starters and starting 2 rookies. Do you know how hard it is to win in the NBA starting 2 rookies? Do you realize you could have the number 1 and number 2 picks in a draft, select the best 2 prospects, and if you throw them into your starting lineup in November of their rookie seasons, things get hard.
Oh, dude, that's why it was so impressive what Ja did his rookie season, getting them to that play-in, because you just don't see that often. A rookie leading a team to a potential playoff spot, right?
No, this is a hard sport for rookies. It's a hard transition, and even with Zach Edey making it look not so difficult, and Jalen Wells being among the biggest surprises of the draft class, if not the biggest surprise among second-round selections, even with them largely playing well, it's hard to win games in the NBA when you are down 2 starters, even more rotation players, and starting 2 rookies. So last night, I can't speak for everybody, But I went to bed last week after the Brooklyn loss way more frustrated and disappointed and all of those things than I went to bed last night. Last night was just like, hey, it's a Monday night in the NBA. You're on the road. You're down 2 starters. You're starting 2 rookies. Things can get difficult. And so you're 4-4 heading into tomorrow night's game against the Lakers. The star last night, obviously, at least from the Grizzlies' perspective, was Zach Edey. He took 12 shots, made 11, finished with 25 points, 12 rebounds, and 4 blocks, at which point he became the first rookie to finish with at least 25 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 blocks on 90% shooting since Hakeem Olajuwon in 1984. So now it's not only true that Zach Edey is off to a nice start in his NBA career, because we watch it so closely, we live and die with the ups and downs, but most people aren't watching it this closely.
Yeah.
They're just checking in every once in a while. And if you were to check in as of this morning, November 5th, 2024, and you sent ballots out to all the media that vote on such things, Zach Edey would probably be your Rookie of the Year. And what he did last night wasn't just the next step in an encouraging rookie season. It was like quite literally something we haven't seen done since Hakeem Olajuwon did it in 1984. He was awesome.
He was awesome. And I think the biggest thing, too, is obviously the numbers are the numbers, but he just looked way more comfortable out there. Like there have been times early in this season where, he'll catch the ball in the post and bring the ball down. Other teams will swat at it and he'll lose it. I just think he looked more aggressive last night, and that's something that can change and looks like it's changing with him this season, like quickly. Just that physicality that he's got to bring to the table every night. It looks like he's getting more comfortable with that.
Yeah, and Taylor Jenkins said after the game, made note of, like, he did all of this, 11 of 12 from the field in 29 minutes. He gets 25 points. He only took 4 free throws. Like, this is a guy who...
The transition 3 was crazy.
This is a guy who took 1 million free throws in college.
Yeah.
And opposing fans, Big Ten fans, were constantly upset about it. But it's like, the only way to guard him is to foul him at the collegiate level. So he just got fouled a lot and went to the free throw line a lot. According to Taylor last night, like, he should have been to the free throw line more than he was last night. Simply put, it is almost impossible for somebody his size to have the ball as often as he had it last night and not get fouled more times than he got fouled. I know the big complaint is tied to the final seconds and Dennis Schroeder, poking the ball away from John Morant. But listening to Taylor Jenkins last night, he made note that Zach Edey got 25 points, 4 free throws. He should have had more free throws and by extension probably more points. Either way, 4-4, winning streak snapped. Back home tomorrow with the Lakers in town. And the Lakers took a loss last night in Detroit. They got off to a nice start, but are now just 4-3 after a 115-103 loss to the Pistons last night. LeBron and Anthony Davis both played, so if you're somebody on the fence about buying tickets, Grizzlies.com, there's no reason, like quite literally no reason to think that the NBA's all-time leading scorer will not be in uniform tomorrow night.
It's a big game tomorrow night, early in the season for a game in early November. Like that's a big one tomorrow night. I'm excited.
Got big election today, and
it's the biggest game of the season so far, right? Lakers coming to town, home game. I think it's the biggest game of the season so far.
I think almost any time LeBron and the Lakers are in town, it's the biggest game of the season.
Yeah, for sure.
He's still, that's
Western Conference foe.
That's I've talked about this before. Last week I took my boys for Halloween. We went because we just wanted to have the Halloween experience at FedEx Forum.
Yeah.
But also, like, I like them seeing Giannis.
Yeah.
And last year they got to see Anthony Edwards in person, got to see Nikola Jokic in person, and they've seen LeBron in person. That's a big deal. I can remember being a kid and going, man, I wonder if I'll ever get to see Michael Jordan play basketball in person. We didn't have this stuff when I was a kid. You want to see Michael Jordan play basketball, you probably had to go to Atlanta. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But, kids in this area now are growing up with these types of opportunities. And so tomorrow night will be a big one. No NBA games today. The league takes Election Day off. And I gather your son's school takes Election Day off. Is that right?
I just assume that they're off once a week for something. They let these kids out of school for
Noah's
anything.
here. He's not skipping school.
No, he's not. I mean, school's out today.
Okay, so I just did the Eye on College Basketball podcast this morning. with Matt Norlander. If you're wondering why I haven't shaved, my plan was to take a shower and shave after that podcast.
No, you look cleanly shaved to me.
I mean, I have showered. It's the first thing I do every morning.
Kind of me. A little scruff ain't nothing
But this is
wrong
a
with
5 o'clock shower, and I didn't feel like got up at 5 o'clock this morning to rewatch Baylor Gonzaga because I wasn't staying up all night last night. So my plan was I'll shower, podcast, second shower, do 2 showers before 9 o'clock, shave then, go do another show. Then it's time to go vote. Big day. Ran long. I'm not clean shaven today. This ain't like me. You okay with it?
Yeah, I think it looks good, man. I think a little scruff goes a long way.
So Matt Norlander, his sons are out of school. Your son's out of school. My kids are in school. What's going on?
I don't know, bro. I mean, I was telling Jessica, like, I went to Memphis City schools. It's Shelby County schools now. I don't think we got out for election day in Memphis City schools, but apparently that's a new thing.
I don't remember getting out for election day either, but it occurs to me that we should. Like, kids should be out of school today. I agree with this.
Oh, I disagree completely.
Yeah, because
I disagree. No, not because it's
your life's
inconvenience.
messed up.
No, not that. The kids should be in school to learn about the election.
I disagree. The kids should be with their parents to learn about the election. I will check my sons out of school today and take them to vote with me.
Well, I'm taking Noah to vote with me too, so I guess that's a decent point. You show them.
How do you make young people understand that something's important?
You got to show them the process.
You show it to them. And
Maybe that's true.
And you make a big deal out of it.
And his teacher did teach him about the election yesterday. So they played like an election game where they chose like a popsicle party or pizza party or so. Yeah. So
the kids voted?
They voted on, do they want a pizza party where they can like watch a movie, or do they want a popsicle party in the park?
But they didn't vote for
candidates. No, they're not doing that. I think that's risky.
I think my little guys did a vote.
Did they vote for candidates?
I think I'd heard something about that.
Were the results posted like to each individual student, or this is anonymous?
Just understand, my kids are private school students in Mississippi.
Yeah, I got that's like we're just saying. Like I'm looking out for their well-being. GP.
My little guys are outnumbered.
Yeah,
they're outnumbered, but they're doing their best, right? They're doing their best.
Yeah.
But no, in all seriousness, I do think it's important to show your kids that this is an important day. And so
I do too.
My wife and I will check our boys out of school because that sort of hammers home the idea of, hey, this is a special day, right? Mm-hmm. Getting checked out of school, kids look forward to that. Kids love like if you tell a kid you're checking him or her out of school tomorrow, and it is all they will talk about until they are checked out of school. They'll go to bed talking about, I'm getting checked out of school tomorrow. They'll go to school going, I'm getting checked out today. Yeah. And they'll be at school, be like, yeah, I'm getting checked out today. It's all they want to talk about.
That's very true.
So you check them out of school to sort of hammer home the idea. This is a big day. This is important.
Big day.
And then you talk. This is what I always try to do. I take my little guys, and on the drive to the polling station, I talk to them about it. And I say, all right, let's talk about what's important to us.
Here's what we're doing.
Yeah, and let's talk about what's important to us. And we bring up some issues, and I say, okay, what do you think about that? And then I let them talk, and I say, okay, why do you think that? And I go, okay, that's interesting. And we just sort of talk through it. And then we go in there, and I actually talk them through the ballot process. Like, they're in there with me. I don't even know if that's legal. But that last election, I took my...
it better be. I will have my child with me.
Right. So I think it's like, I love this day. You know, we'll see how it goes. But I like this day.
Election day too.
I like this day.
I like election day too.
I don't know. I can't wait.
It's got like a Super Bowl vibe.
It really does to me. Like, I cannot wait to just be done with all this nonsense and go vote, go get my kids, go vote, and then come home and just turn on the TV
on,
and just hang, and
it
just,
is a thing,
and just hang out all night.
It's an American tradition.
It's an American tradition.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to it. I hope everybody gets, regardless of how you vote, I hope you get out there and take advantage of your opportunity to vote. Jason Munz covers the Tigers. Penny Hardaway's program for the Commercial Appeal. He was inside FedEx Forum last night. Nice season opening victory for Memphis. We'll talk about it next. Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South.
3 big beats this week. One was root for points in honor of John Roser. How about that Miami-Louisville game?
Good
Crushed
grief.
the over, which was 60. Finished with 97 total points, 52-45. Meanwhile, the Academy's covering again, both Army and Navy, getting the job done.
This.
Army, best start since 96.
America.
Navy crushed Charlotte. They're ranked 23rd and 24th in the country.
The Odds Couple, live at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Yellow laces, really bright yellow primary color. You got black on the trim and on the edges.
I gotta get 'em.
And you got some red there as well. Look at that right there, Mike. Look at that right there.
Man, look at that G. Look at that G, boy. That G is moving strong right there, too, man.
Get all of your HBCU sports and culture news by tuning in to HBCU Huddle with CJ Hurt and Mike Wallace. New episodes drop every Thursday on grindcitymedia.com, YouTube, and Spotify.
When it's all on the line, you turn to the strong, the stable, the unwavering. To those with a history of raising their performance to meet the moment. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st. And you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing beats catching your Grizzlies IRL, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back with tickets to every upcoming matchup. Whether you're catching the Grizzlies at home or on the road, you'll find tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Grizzlies tickets today. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside again soon, Memphis.
Justin Timberlake. I'm bringing sexy back. The Forget Tomorrow World Tour. Live in Memphis. Justin Timberlake. FedEx Forum, Saturday, November 23rd. Get tickets now at livenation.com. The brand new single Selfish is available to stream and download now. For more, hit up justintimberlake.com.
Welcome back. Gary Parrish Show presented by Ortho South. We're inside the Built Ford Tough studio, and nice season opening victory for the Tigers last night, 83-75 over Missouri. Jason Munz covers the Tigers for the Commercial Appeal. He's the beat writer now for the 6th straight year. Time flies when you're a Memphis basketball beat writer, huh?
You couldn't have said anything more true because this could easily be 2019. It could be 2022. I don't know.
It's funny. We were talking about this in the break. I was on the beat for 5 years. The first year just backing up Zach McMillan in basketball, Phil Stukenborg in football when I was at the Commercial Appeal. And then I was the full-time Memphis basketball beat writer 4 years. It covers Rodney Carney's career. So my first ever game on the beat, like as the beat writer, Memphis-Syracuse in the Garden, Carmelo Anthony's first game as well, when Memphis beat them, and Jeremy Hunt was – I don't want to say he was the best freshman on the floor because Carmelo Anthony was there, but Jeremy Hunt played really well.
Yeah.
And Memphis beat Syracuse in the Garden. Of course, Syracuse goes on to win the national championship. Then my final game on the beat would have been March 2006, Rodney Carney's last game. That's the Memphis-UCLA game out in Oakland where they shot terribly and lost. Yeah. And that was a UCLA team that they had beaten pretty convincingly in New York around Thanksgiving earlier in the year. So, but like from those 4 years, and you've done 2 more years than me, I have a million stories. I could write 50 books about it and probably should.
Yeah.
And buddy, it's not boring for you.
No.
Let's start before we get to the game, the Tyreek Smith situation.
All right. Sure.
What happened?
How long do we have?
I mean,
seriously,
I got to get to the to vote at some point today, but I got a few minutes. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, basically, he came to Memphis with there was an agreement in place. Like there was an agreement in place for him to come here, and it sort of got lost in translation. There was some sort of misunderstanding. I don't know. depending on who you believe, he and his camp were told one thing, and then it didn't necessarily materialize exactly how they thought it was going to play out. And so he became antsy, and it sort of festered over the summer. But they were willing to, this is according to Tyreek and his camp, they were willing to sort of see it out and let it play out or whatever. But then some things happened behind the scenes and tensions got high. There was a study hall that was missed and an argument that ensued and some running that was made to happen. I mean, I guess we can talk about it now. Like he missed a study hall. Right. He was excused. He had an excuse from the study hall coordinator. He said he was sick. He missed. Mike Davis didn't like it. Didn't think he was sick, called him out on it, told him he had to come in and run for it. He did. And they kind of exchanged words eventually, and that's what brought it all to a head. And this is me talking to his mother who told me this. That's what brought the whole thing to a head. Like, if you're going to treat me like this, if you're going to make me do all this, well, then we need to talk about this NIL stuff. So, that was kind of how it all started.
He's a talented guy, sure. If you're Penny Hardaway, aren't you better off just being done with this?
Now, I want to ask you this.
Okay.
You saw it last night. Like, a couple guys fouled out.
Right.
They were getting pretty shorthanded. Like, this is also a head coach who was going to bat very publicly, repeatedly for Mikey Williams. I don't know that I buy that Penny was like thinking that way.
Right.
That like, that we don't need this.
Right.
Like, I feel like he would have lived with all of that in order to keep a guy who was probably in the top 7 in the rotation.
Right. I guess I should, in fairness to Penny, it's always easier for somebody like me to say, I wouldn't deal with this because I don't have to go win games.
I'm sure there's an element of that.
Right.
But
like, my job's not on the line.
Yeah, right.
Like, Memphis can win every game or lose every game. I'm going to be here.
Right.
Penny he's coaching with real pressure.
Yeah.
And so I shouldn't be so... I would not deal with
like
this.
Reducing it down to that.
Yeah, because if I were Penny Hardaway, maybe I wouldn't. Maybe I would deal with it because you got to win games. But
to your point,
yeah,
though,
just go.
Yes,
get out of here.
Like and it's so much better if you ask me that this happens now as opposed to like
that's right,
December 2 or something like that. Like, you would much rather just go ahead and get it out of the way. Yes, he had been here since June, preparing as if he was going to be a big part of the team. And so you are now having to adjust, but he's gone now. Right. I saw I was forwarded a screenshot of the text message that he sent Penny on Saturday, basically saying that I hate it came to this, but I got to do what's best for me and my family. And Penny replied and said, we respect that, family over everything. And
I was told that. I mean, it seems pretty obvious he wasn't satisfied with what he was getting, but I was told he has deposited a significant amount of money from the Memphis Collective. There's no recourse there, is it? That's just
Correct.
money. That's just money gone. There's nothing you can do.
Correct, and I've confirmed that with a source.
Yeah.
That money is gone. Now, what money was still to be deposited to him into his account has been freed up.
Correct.
To either redistribute to the players who are here or any potential future additions. That money is available.
This is exactly why Tony Bennett retired, isn't it?
I was saying this last night. I feel like him. Like I woke up yesterday thinking...
Well, think about you. Just you. Like, you. We're talking about Penny dealing with this and other coaches dealing. You have to deal with this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not like, nobody cares about us, but I woke up yesterday thinking, surely it's the season opener. There was so much drama in the off season, there can't be any left. And you get to like 11 o'clock yesterday morning, and the news doesn't break until 3 or something like that. But you start hearing stuff, and you're like, and it's just like it truly nothing is ever surprising. But like I remember distinctly thinking, I feel like Tony Bennett. Like, I just woke up today wanting to cover a basketball game and only a basketball game, and it's just not. It's not possible.
Well, you did eventually cover a basketball game. It didn't start so well for Memphis.
It did not.
But it ended well. 83-75 final score. on one hand, let's state the obvious. Missouri's lost 19 straight games dating back to last season, hasn't won since December 30th, literally has not won a game in the calendar year 2024. Still, they're supposed to be better. It is an SEC program, and Memphis rallied in the second half to start the season 1-0. I won't say it was a perfect night, but it was a good one.
It was, yeah. It was much better than the alternative. It was funny. I was walking down after the game ended. I was walking to the press conference, and there was a Missouri fan who was by himself, who there was nobody around, and he was just muttering to himself, 20 straight losses, 20 straight, and he's getting louder and louder, and he doesn't even see me. So this is just him and his element, and. But no, it is a very different team. They brought in a Duke transfer, Mark Mitchell,
right.
And Caleb Grill, who was with them for their first 9 games last year when they were 8-1 with him, and then the wheels fell off when he got hurt. So, it is a different team, and I do think Missouri's going to win some games this year. But yeah, they.
Yeah, I think they'll win. I mean, clearly they're going to win a game in non-league, but if you're Dennis Gates, this gets into.
I agree.
If they stumble throughout the non-league and then start 1-5 in the SEC, they could get you mid-season.
Yes, I mean they're picked to finish 13th or whatever they are in the SEC. If they finish below that, then you're. Or if you're on track to finish below that, then you're talking.
History shows when you keep losing like this, it doesn't matter how good you were previously or how good you were at your last time. It happened to Bryce Drew at Vanderbilt. And Bryce Drew is excellent.
Yeah.
He was great before Vanderbilt. He's been great since Vanderbilt. But at Vanderbilt, it just got real bad, and they just pulled the plug.
Yes.
And if Dennis Gates ain't careful, it'll happen to him this season.
Yes. That's the nature of the beast. Right. And to blow a 14-point lead and it's on the road. I get it, and Memphis is talented, yes, and the crowd was into it and everything. But yeah, it could get dicey for
Missouri. Sure. Memphis ends up 8 of 20 from 3.
That's one of my biggest takeaways.
Yeah, right, because they didn't shoot it well in the exhibitions. There's not a lot in the roster that you look at and you go, "Oh, this is gonna be a good shooting team," right? There's not a lot of proven, established shooters. I don't think they're going to shoot 40% from 3 on the season. If they do, let's start talking about Sweet 16s and Elite 8s and stuff. But they did it last night, and that was, an encouraging takeaway. They won't do it every game, but, they can do it when they need to, or at least often. That's how you can turn this whole thing around.
They made 4 3-pointers in their 2 exhibition games, and they doubled it in one game last night. I said this before. I'm not sure they're going to be a good three-point shooting team, but I think it's going to be good enough. I do think it's going to be streaky, and last night was kind of a good example of that. They didn't start off very, very well, and then they got going in the second half and hit a few more. But yeah, I think whether they're good or not remains to be seen. But I do think they're going to be good enough. It didn't show up last night, but the free throw shooting is what really worries me more than the 3-point shooting, because it was pretty bad in the exhibition games.
And those things are often connected.
Yes. So that's the one that worries me. Last night they did okay at the line. They hit what they needed to hit, and they pulled it out.
PJ Haggerty is among the newcomers. He took 16 shots, made 7 of them, finished with 25 points. We've sort of talked throughout the offseason into the preseason, we just don't know these players. They're not visible. They sent the promo out yesterday, and I'd sort of joke, they'd have been better. It was Jared Harris, but it'd have been more recognizable if it was Anthony Rice or John Grice or anybody from a different era. But you keep doing 25 points on 7 of 16 shooting, we'll get familiar with you pretty quickly. He was terrific.
He was, and he's making a habit out of this, coming on strong late. He scored 24 against North Carolina, 32 against Alabama, albeit with 8 fouls. And then 25 last night, 22 in the second half. Tyrese Hunter even said in the postgame, he was he had 3 points at halftime. I thought he might finish with 7, but you look up and he's just going off, and you are starting to gain some trust in him as that guy that you want to have the ball in his hands at in crunch time, and that does have a way of making you memorable for the and recognizable to the fan base, even if you haven't been around for very long.
Dane just started, played 25 minutes. There seemed to be some questions leading up to the game about whether he was going to remain a member of the program. How close did that get to going the way of Tyreek Smith?
I don't think it got very close at all. I mean, like if it had been a situation where he asked for some personal time, then maybe I would say it was there was something to it, but that never happened. And so yeah, like I never was given any indication that and you, I mean, like if we've learned anything, you can never say never. Like anything can happen. Jordan Brown can come back after a month and a half. Tyreek Smith can leave, come back, and then leave again in the span of 10 days.
Amani Bates.
Like so many things can happen, but I never got any real sense that Dane was like even close to bolting.
Let me ask you about Penny Hardaway. Obviously, it was a tough offseason for him. The staff shakeup, roster turnover.
David Jones
losing him, so late in the process when, they seemed to think they were getting him back. I sort of realized many years ago when you start trying to figure out who's going to compete for national championships and like big prizes, so many people focus on recruiting classes. It is often dictated by who had a real NBA player come back to school, like somebody who could have reasonably stayed in the draft, but they decided to come back to school. And David Jones was that for Memphis, except the wrong direction. Like they lost him. You get him, it changes your team. It changes a lot. Like that would have been a preseason top 25 team with David Jones on it, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if they had kept Tyreek Smith and they'd got, well, I mean, who knows how the roster shakes out if David comes back. But I mean, you could make an argument that from a roster standpoint, even a starting lineup standpoint, if everything else had played out the way it did, you get Tyrese Hunter. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, do you get PJ Haggerty?
That's the thing. You don't know if you get these guys if you still have him. But like, how about this? Just give a simple exercise. If you took David Jones and put him on this team,
it's a top 15.
Maybe, yeah, right.
Potential,
yeah.
From a potential standpoint,
for sure,
because he was
he was like an All-American level guy.
Yes.
He wasn't an All-American. I don't think he made any of the teams because Memphis was so bad. But if Memphis was good, he'd have been on all those teams.
If they had kept going on the trajectory that they
if you'd have done it in December, All-American teams, he'd have been on it.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So it was a tough offseason for Penny in a variety of ways. I've had to say some things I wish I never had to say and write some things I wish I never had to write. This guy was my favorite basketball player as a child. I hate that it's come to this. But I know you have sat down with him in the preseason. He seemed to make himself a little more available to you guys and seemed to maybe soften a little bit. But I'm looking at it from over here. You tell me, how is Penny Hardaway?
I think he is probably in the best headspace that he's been in years, maybe ever, since he became the coach. Certainly since the Wiseman season, his second season, certainly since then, everything just started kind of getting complicated for him, starting with that season. So, but no, he has this, and even this offseason started kind of weird, where he was we caught up with him at one point early in the offseason, and we were told by the person who was sort of handling the situation that if we asked about basketball, he was going to walk away.
Which is just weird.
Yeah, anytime that happens, that's strange to me. But and then he was going on the podcasts and these things, and he was calling out the media and these things, and so I sat down with him in Dallas last month at Media Day, and he kind of was talking about how he shouldn't have done that. And no, I think that he has gotten into a healthy headspace.
Good.
And you can look to last night's post-game press conference as the perfect example of that. And it's not great for us in where we sit, but we asked him about Tyreek Smith. It's the first chance we get to ask him since the news broke. And he was like, we respect Tyreek's decision. We wish him the best. He made some lifelong friends while he was here. End of story.
Right.
Normally, he's going to keep going. He's going to say some stuff that is going to, be more interesting than that, and may not be the best thing for him to say, but it's going to be way more interesting than what he said. But I think what he said serves him well. It serves the program well. It's not as interesting, but sometimes you need that. Sometimes you need some light and shade.
Yeah, you don't need to make big headlines with every press conference.
Yes.
And he went through a phase where
that was happening.
Which we appreciated as people who just
100%.
enjoy the content.
Yes.
But like if you're running a basketball program, probably not the way to do it. And I think and this goes without saying, I think he's learning as he goes.
I think
we all learn as we go. Like the first time I ever hosted a radio show by myself, it's not something I had ever done before, and so I didn't really know what I was doing.
Yeah.
Year 2 was better. Year 3 was better. The show I do today is not the show I did 15 years ago. In any profession, you learn as you go, and I like to hear that it sounds like he's learning as he goes.
I don't think it's any coincidence that I think Ed Scott earned his trust real quick, and then Ed Scott hired Tim Duncan, and I don't think that can be like overstated, like that. The importance of putting people around him that he trusts, who can help him help himself.
Right. I like to hear you say he's in a good headspace, because these things can go any direction. I don't know what it's like to be as famous as Penny Hardaway in my hometown, and then have all of that love turn into mockery. Like it cannot be easy.
Yes.
And I'm not a psychologist, but there's a few different ways you can go with that. You can really just tighten up and F everybody, and I don't care about anything anymore, and F all these people. And that's just no way to live. That's just not a healthy place to walk through life in. It is much easier, and I hope Penny knows this. There is, I don't want to say there's nobody because it's a big city, but there's almost nobody who wants anything for him other than success.
Yeah.
Nobody ever wants to go to the Penny Hardaway just got fired press conference. Let's push that off as long as we can. And so if he's in a good headspace, that suggests to me that he's been able to go through whatever he's gone through, deal with the criticism, and come out of it a little more clear-eyed than somebody else might be. I've seen coaches, when the criticism starts to come, they run the other direction and they just get mad and they carry it around all the time. I don't know which one I would be if I were in his shoes, but I like that he's doing it this way.
Yeah, I think because he did do that.
Yeah,
there was
that's the thing. I think he's been through all the phases.
Yes, and I think because he did, and he saw that it didn't exactly work out very well for him.
It won't work for him, and it doesn't play well with the fans, and it just makes you miserable, I would have assumed.
Yeah, and so yeah, I think because he experienced that, it's given him the opportunity to be like, okay, I know that doesn't work. I'm gonna try this.
Right.
And I don't have like any super, like we don't sit down and have coffee.
Right.
But it just seems to me that he's just looser and more relaxed.
Right. I've always thought he could benefit from being a little more of the get coffee guy. Like all coaches don't have to do that, but most do.
Yeah.
Like most coaches do have relationships with people in the media. And Penny really doesn't.
Nah.
Like you're not just going to text Penny Hardaway randomly to be like, hey, what's up? You know?
Right.
That's not really the way he conducts himself, which is fine.
It's fine.
But it's not normal.
Yeah.
You know, but he's also not a normal college basketball coach.
To each their own.
Right.
I mean, like I'm not here to say that that's right or wrong, but it, you know, if it works for you, then so be it.
Right.
And I think you know, if he handles everything else in the ways that are proven to work, then he'll be fine.
One last thing before I get you out of here, and I appreciate your time as always. Just broadly speaking, because I have not talked to you since the exhibitions were played, and now we have a season opener. In other words, you've put your eyes on this team. You've seen the pieces. You know what good basketball looks like. You've covered NCAA tournament teams. Is this one?
I think it's an NCAA tournament team.
Yep.
Yeah. I think the pieces fit really, really well. And Penny has said that a lot this offseason, just that he feels like from a roster construction standpoint, this team feels like the best team that he's ever had. I wrote about that earlier this week. I talked to Kendrick Davis. I talked to Alex Lomax to like get their perspective of, like how did it work so well for you guys? What do you see out of this roster? That sort of thing. And I mean, that's, again, that team won 26 games. No other team that Penny Hardaway has coached has won more than 22 games except that team.
Right.
That's a pretty wide, thing. And they did not win an NCAA tournament game, but they're extenuating.
It was right there. We saw what happened.
Yeah. But they did beat number 1 Houston, albeit without, I think it was Jamal Shedd.
Right.
Won an AAC championship, all those things. I think this team, I'm buying that. I'm buying that this team feels like that team.
Right.
And I don't think it can be overstated that Tyrese Hunter, the whole rap on him is he's streaky. He's a streaky player, but he wins in March. He's 6-3, and that's your point guard. He's 6-3 all time in March, in the NCAA tournament. Right. That I want to say that's almost, if not more, wins by himself in the NCAA tournament than the entire team roster combined had last year.
Right.
So I think that's a lot, I think.
Right. No, I'm with you. I think it does look like an NCAA tournament team, and though they weren't picked to win the AAC.
Do you see what happened to UAB last
They lost,
night? Yeah, the one who was picked to win lost at home to Vermont.
Yeah, in Vermont's like not
a bad program.
And their coach is excellent.
Sure.
But, I'm surprised he's still at Vermont. But, I never thought it was sensible to take UAB over Memphis. And I realized that was Memphis brought back almost nothing. UAB brought back some pieces. Maybe you trust Andy Kennedy more than you trust Penny, whatever the explanation would be. But it just, from a roster perspective, one of these rosters is way better than the other one, and it's the Memphis roster.
Now, I will say, losing Tyrese Smith, and I know there's people out there say the 8 points and 5 rebounds a game that he scored last year, but those were important rotation. He didn't just, it's not always about numbers. It's about presence and leadership and all these sorts of things. He also was 3rd in the American last year in blocks per game, 1.7 blocks per game. You don't have that now.
Right.
So that is going to change things a little bit. So we'll see how it goes, moving forward. But I still think there's enough there, especially with Jared Harris, the true freshman, showing some things in the preseason. I still think there's enough there for them to make the NCAA tournament.
Hey, I asked you this in your text group last night too. By the way, sign up for Jason's text group because he's got all the info in that group. But
I'm glad you brought this up.
They play UNLV on Saturday, and it's on the Mountain West Network, and I cannot for the life of me figure out how to watch.
I think you're just going to stream it. I think it's
Fubo is. Based on my research, Fubo is the way to do it. I think I want to say I saw something about if you have an Apple Plus, you can do it that way too.
Okay.
And I want to maybe either I think it's Roku TV. I mean, it's weird.
So there's multiple options.
Yeah, there are multiple options.
I know Xfinity does not have Mountain West Network, so
like Amazon Fire TV, I think is another one.
All of those, and those little things are so cheap now. The Apple TVs are still pretty expensive.
Yeah,
we have a few of those, but the little Roku, the little Roku Juniors, I have 1 million of them.
Yeah,
and they're $30, and it does exactly what you're trying to do.
Yeah, by the time I didn't mean to ghost you. By the time I saw it was by the time I saw it, I was like, I'll just talk about it on the
But we'll know exactly how to watch this game by the time it tips off.
Yes.
That's Jason Munz from the Commercial Appeal. Make sure you're reading him, commercialappeal.com. He's on Twitter, X, at Munsley. That's at Munsley. I always appreciate your time, buddy.
Thank you, GP.
When we come back, Ryan Silverfield had an interesting press conference yesterday after a disappointing loss to UTSA. We'll run you through the quotes next. Gary Parrish Show presented by Ortho South.
Dinosaur draft.
Give me Littlefoot.
Littlefoot's a great pick in your alternate reality.
Right.
in your fake dinosaur draft because you don't believe in real dinosaurs. Give me a Velociraptor. It's so cute and so scary.
That's not a real Velociraptor.
That's not a chicken.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Yellow laces, really bright yellow primary color. You got black on the trim and on the edges.
I gotta get 'em.
And you got some red there as well. Look at that right there, Mike. Look at that right there.
Man, look at that G. Look at that G, boy. That G is moving strong right there, too, man.
Get all of your HBCU sports and culture news by tuning in to HBCU Huddle with CJ Hurt and Mike Wallace. New episodes drop every Thursday on grindcitymedia.com, YouTube, and Spotify.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board, a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GVWR.
At Southland Casino Hotel, it's time to work hard, play hard with our $500,000 giveaway. Earn entries October through November 9th and take home free play and amazing prizes on select Saturdays, including a big rig. Stay connected on social media for weekly drawing clues. Join us November 9th for the grand finale drawing where you could drive off in a four-wheeler, side-by-side, or big rig. Work hard and play harder at Southland Casino Hotel. Must be 21 plus. Play responsibly. For help quitting, call 800-522-4700.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing compares to catching your Grizzlies IRL. And that all starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight. Put that jersey collection to use for the next game and get Grizzlies tickets at Ticketmaster. Whether they're here at FedEx Forum or on the road, Ticketmaster's got your back when it comes to scoring tickets. And there's no better brag than saying you saw it live.
Orthopedic injuries can be unpredictable, unforeseen, and unscheduled, and Ortho South understands this better than anyone. Since your injuries don't make appointments, you don't need to either. That's because Ortho South welcomes walk-ins during the weekdays, in the evenings, and even on Saturdays. So next time an unforeseen injury makes an unscheduled appearance in your life, visit orthosouth.org to find your nearest urgent care location. Just walk in, and Ortho South will take care of everything, especially you. Learn more at orthosouth.org. That's orthosouth at orthosouth.org. Now, I got 5 more things you need to know.
Number 1.
Ryan Silverfield held his weekly press conference yesterday, coming off of a disappointing loss to UTSA, and the quotes were interesting. Let's start with this one. I get 7-2 is not good enough. That's 100% on me. The losses are inexcusable. This press conference was happening yesterday during our show, and I saw, I think it was a tweet from Jonah Dillon, that quote exactly. And I said, I would need to hear it or have more context before I know if he's just like being direct. Like, I get it. I understand, guys. 7-2 is like, this is not good enough. I have failed you. Does he mean that sincerely? Or is he just being like passive aggressive? Like, oh, I guess 7-2 is not good enough. And after going back and listening to him speak at length, seems to me it was more of the latter than the former.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
When Ryan Silverfield says, I get 7-2 is not good enough, do you think privately, like when he's just laying in bed at night, do you think he's going, I cannot believe I'm 7-2 with this team in this league. This is not good enough. Or do you think he lays there and goes, are people crazy? This is Memphis football and I'm 7-2 and they want to fire me.
Well, I can actually understand both points, whichever one he was making. 7-2 is good at Memphis. But you have to add context to the. First off,
please,
7-2 has all that like if we're taking just Memphis football as a whole over the history, 7-2 is great for Memphis football. But this program has become something different than it has been over the entire history of the program. This is not what Memphis football has always been. This program is looked at as a good program in its conference for sure, and one of the better mid-major programs in the country over the past 6-7 years, right?
Sure.
I mean, here's the other thing. You got a senior quarterback. You spent a lot of money. You brought in some really good players. Like, this Memphis football team is supposed to be the best team in the AAC this season. In this season, it is.
You ready? 7-2 isn't good enough with this team, this athletic department, this schedule. 7-2 is not good enough. And the whole just 7-2 thing, to me, means absolutely nothing without the context. What does 7-2 mean? Who cares if you're 7-2? What if you played North Alabama 9 times in a row? And you somehow lost twice? Would you be like, I guess 7-2 is not good enough? You go, no, you lost to North Alabama twice. What are you talking about? Yeah. 7-2, I don't care about the like when people say things like he's 7-2. I don't care if he's 7-2. He should probably be. You ready? 9-0.
I just think 2 conference losses in this league with this roster is not great. It's not.
It's obviously not great.
Because the goal coming into the season, everybody agreed, was to compete for an AAC championship, and you're probably not going to have a chance to do that this year.
The only game you have been an underdog in was against Florida State. And if you played that game tomorrow, you wouldn't be an underdog in that one, or it'd be closer. Mm-hmm. We just didn't properly appreciate how terrible Florida State was at the time. Right? Every other game, you've been at least a 7-point favorite. Every other game besides Florida State, Memphis has closed as at least a touchdown favorite. So no, 7-2 is not good enough. And I don't even think that he subscribes to it the way I'm subscribing to it. I think he thinks it's crazy that people are upset with a 7-2 record at Memphis football.
And I'll be honest, I can understand that perspective too.
I don't understand it at all.
I can. I mean, dude,
the history of Memphis, like when people talk about, the history of Memphis football, like you're talking about Rip Shearer. Mm-hmm. All right?
No, they've had a long sustained success at this point.
Tommy West got fired and famously stood there at the press conference and said, this will always be how it goes until you guys invest. You got to give the next guy a shot, or we'll just keep doing this forever. Well, then they started giving the next guy a shot.
Yes.
The program Tommy West ran and Rip Shearer ran and Chuck Stobart ran is not the same program that Ryan Silverfield is running. It's not in the same league, not playing the same schedules. And it has been raised to a new place. This is a legitimately good and proud college football program that is outspending everybody in the AAC.
Yes.
7-2 is not good enough. It's just not. I don't say that to be mean. I just say it to be honest. 7-2 is not good enough. The quotes, here's another interesting one. The high expectations, I appreciate that. I love the fact that we turned the University of Memphis football program into a place that expects to compete for championships. I love that. I'd like to think that I maybe have a small piece to do with why those expectations are there. What do you make of that quote?
He does have a part. I mean, he's been here for a long. Before he was the head coach,
he absolutely has played a role.
Been a part of the long sustained success, but they haven't competed for a conference championship since he's been here. And so, and again, we agree that in this new version of the AAC, without UCF, without Cincinnati, without Houston, without SMU, you should be competing for conference championships.
That football program and that men's basketball program, as long as they are in this version of this league, should be competing for championships every year without exception.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with that. Yes,
you know the reason I wanted them to move to the new Pac-12 is so that they would have better neighbors, comparable league members. In the AAC, they don't have that. There's no comparable programs to you, athletic departments to you. So 7-2 is not good enough.
That's the thing too about the Pac. That's why I keep going back, and I hate harping on the Pac-12 thing. But again, it sucks that you're in this position where one road loss at UTSA just wrecks your season. I don't think if you're in a better league, which we think that league is going to be, that's necessarily the case. I don't think a road loss to Oregon State is going to wreck your season like it does at UTSA.
Well, bad losses are bad losses. I don't care where they happen, and I don't care who they're against.
But there you're going to have an opportunity to win another big game.
Yeah, but still you start stacking conference losses, you don't get to compete for a conference title.
I got it.
Memphis' problem isn't that it lost one game to UTSA. It's that it's lost two games. One to UTSA, one to Navy, and they were both games that the Tigers were favored to win. So I don't even understand the debate. I can appreciate Ryan saying what he said because the words, when you read them, we agree. He says he gets that 7-2 is not good enough, and the only thing I'm telling you is that 7-2 is not good enough. He's right, but I don't think he really believes that. I don't believe he subscribes to that. I think he's probably frustrated and wondering why people are upset at the University of Memphis with a football program that is about to go to yet another bowl game and was in the coaches poll earlier this season, and already has 7 wins, and it's election day. Like I think he probably deep down doesn't quite get why people are so upset, but the reason is because the only thing you can find to get excited about as long as you're in this league is if you are dominating this league, or at least winning this league, or at least on track to play for the conference championship in this league. And none of those things are true. So it's not good enough. Like, this is easy. Where were the expectations before we kicked things off? Win the league. At least play for the conference championship.
Yeah.
Maybe go to the college football playoff. Now, barring a surprise, you're not doing any of those things.
Right.
By definition, that means it's not good enough.
Yeah.
Number 2.
Jason Kelce went on television last night, live from Kansas City, where his brother was getting ready to play against the Tampa Bay Bucks, and he addressed the weekend incident that he had heading into the Penn State-Ohio State game. I won't tell you what he said. We'll let him speak for himself. Jason Kelce, last night before Monday Night Football.
Stuff on your mind, and I want to give you the floor to say what's on your mind.
Yeah, listen, I think everybody's seen on social media everything that took place this week. That's what listen, I'm not happy with anything that took place. I'm not proud of it, and in a heated moment, I chose to greet hate with hate, and I just don't think that that's a productive thing. I really don't. I don't think that it leads to discourse, and it's the right way to go about things. And in that moment, I fell down to a level that I shouldn't have. So I think the bottom line is, I want to live my life. I try to live my life by the golden rule. That's what I've always been taught. I try to treat people with common decency and respect, and I'm going to keep doing that moving forward. Even though I fell short this week, I'm going to do that moving forward and continue to do that. So, I think we got a game to focus on. Obviously, a matchup. I don't think this is the platform to necessarily go into more detail. So let's get ready for this Chiefs game.
Much respect, bro.
Do you accept Jason Kelce's apology for greeting hate with hate?
I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't need an apology. I don't even think he needed to give an apology, but I do really respect the guy for doing it. I think he seems like a good dude. I think that he got caught up in a moment with someone being a total douchebag, and I could totally understand why he reacted the way he did, and so whatever. I accept his apology. I think I don't know if it was necessary, but I think he's in the right place.
The gay slur complicates it.
Sure.
Even though I don't even think, far be it for me to speak for the gay community, but I don't sense that there's this cancel Jason Kelce movement because he said a gay slur caught on camera. I don't even think that's. This is maybe the one time you could say that word and nobody's really mad at you about it, right?
Right.
So that complicates it, though, right?
And he said, I shouldn't have fought hate with hate.
But here's the thing.
I get it.
Here's the thing. I don't agree with his sentiment. I accept his apology. And what I watched there was just 90 seconds of a guy who seems, I don't know him, seems like a good guy.
Yes.
And he probably has been bothered by, you don't want, his kids are going to grow up and see him yelling.
Yeah, they're going to see that video. That's right.
You don't want that, right? But
that's right. I wouldn't want my kid to see me doing that. So I get that.
Of course, but what you just flip it around and you say, okay, but you know what this really was? Come here, kids, let's talk about it. You know what this really was? This was me standing up to somebody for your Uncle Trev.
Yeah.
And your Aunt Taylor, if we ever get there, right?
Yeah.
And, you just turn it into a different lesson for your kids and then maybe say, hey, I took it too far, clearly. But at my core, that was just me not allowing somebody to say things like that about my brother. And I hope you siblings have each other's back like that someday as well, right? Turn it into a lesson, I hope. But I don't agree with the sentiment of you don't ever meet, hate's the wrong word, but I don't like the whole idea of when they go low, we go high. Sometimes you got to get low. Sometimes I want to get low with you, right?
Yes.
I think there's a time to get low.
Yes.
I don't like the whole when they go low, we go high.
If you put your phone in my face and start calling me names,
right,
your phone's getting broken.
Yeah.
And I subscribe to that.
Yeah. Like I was okay with the whole thing. It'd been better without the gay slurs, but I didn't mind watching Jason Kelce. That's what somebody should have done to that guy.
It was satisfying watching that phone get spiked.
Yes, that's what somebody should have done to that guy.
Yes.
Probably years ago.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So
yeah, he's gone unchecked for a long time.
Somebody needed to get this guy.
Yeah.
Right? So I guess you could have just turned around and said, young man, I'd appreciate you not to talk about my brother that way. Mm-hmm. And his girlfriend and whatever, and kept it up here.
Yeah.
But sometimes you need to tell somebody who's acting like an idiot that they're an idiot, right? Sometimes you need to tell somebody who's being ridiculous that they're being ridiculous. I don't think you always have to go high. I think sometimes you got to go low.
Yeah.
And I like seeing Jason Kelce go low. You know, maybe should have done it with a zipped up lip, but he could have broke that guy's whole face and it wouldn't have mattered to me.
He's good in my book.
Number 3.
Kansas City Chiefs improved to 8-0 last night in Monday Night Football. Bennett?
Dude, we go from, oh my God, this thing is wide open. When Patrick Mahomes goes down in that game and they have to help him off the field, it's like, wow, this thing has just busted wide open. Like, we're going to have a new champion. This is going to be really interesting to watch the rest of the season play out. And then he comes back in. They go to overtime, and I know you saw Baker Mayfield's face with the coin flip. He knew instantly.
Right.
He knew when they got the ball first, it was over because you can't give that guy the ball first in overtime. No, he knew. Baker Mayfield was mad at himself for calling tails because I think he called tails and it was heads. You could tell he was mad at himself.
Like, it really, if you were going to overtime with the Chiefs, it might really come down to just what's the coin flip do?
That's it.
Yeah.
You can't give that guy the ball in overtime.
Mahomes finished 34-44.
Dude,
he's good.
He's good. That's the thing is, like, by his standards, like, and he was good last night. This season, he has not had a good year at all. He has been bottom tier as far as quarterback numbers to start, and they're 8-0.
Right. So let's stop here for a second because this is the main thing I want to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
Not the game. I don't care about the game.
Yeah, I got you.
The back-to-back Super Bowl champs are undefeated. Mm-hmm. Their quarterback is arguably the greatest quarterback in history and certainly the most popular player in the NFL.
Yes.
His teammate is dating the most popular woman in the world. Mm-hmm. And I don't feel like the Chiefs are just rammed down my throat nonstop. Mm-hmm. Probably a better way to say that. But you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
I guess what I'm asking, and maybe it's just because I'm not into the NFL as much as you're into the NFL.
Yeah.
But it seems like it should be all Chiefs all the time, and I don't get the sense that that's where we're at yet.
I think that's a good point. Now, granted, did we get the Patriots stuff early on? Like, was that really thrown in our face super early in that dynasty run? Now, theirs was weird because it was like they would win it like every other year, or win it and then
I'm just trying to think of what like UConn is back-to-back champs in men's basketball.
Yeah.
If UConn is the last undefeated team in January, ranked number 1 in the country, 0 in the loss column, coming off back-to-back national championships with a chance to three-peat, that will be the biggest story in college basketball by a wide margin. And it just feels like literally every American should be aware, because you've just heard it so much, that the Chiefs are back-to-back Super Bowl champs and undefeated going for a three-peat. And I just don't hear that a lot.
I don't hear that a lot either. I just think too, like with the NFL, it's so, like you could put you could put Panthers Broncos on Monday Night Football, and it's like the most viewed thing on. Like, I think the NFL, it's just every game they play is a big event, right?
I'm just saying I watch more segments on television about Aaron Rodgers than I do the Kansas City Chiefs. And that seems crazy.
It does seem now that you say that, I am like, they're 8-0. They're the back-to-back champs.
Why is this at the A block of every sports television show? The back-to-back champs with Mahomes and Kelce are undefeated. And
that is a good point. I do feel like that.
Why aren't they talking about, are the Chiefs going to go undefeated? And maybe they are somewhere. I'm just saying it's not entered my world yet.
It really hasn't mine either. Like, obviously, I know what's happening. You know what's happening. But I'm with you. I haven't seen it. It's not leading everything all the time.
Right.
It's not. You're right.
Right. It seems like you should just be like seeing polls online that say, will the Chiefs go undefeated and three-peat? And I don't see any of that. Right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I guess we'll get there at some point. And obviously having them play an overtime thriller in Monday Night Football the night before the election with Taylor Swift in attendance, that's obviously the biggest story in sport when you wake up this morning. But I just sort of noticed, should the Chiefs being undefeated going for a three-peat be a bigger story?
Yeah, it hurt seeing DeAndre Hopkins doing the Titans dance. It hurt a little bit. That's first off, that's like one of my favorite movies. Remember the Titans? It's like kind of obviously now correlated to the Tennessee Titans, and he's doing the Titans dance end zone celebration like that hurt.
Well, somebody's going to dance at Nissan Stadium again someday. I don't know who or when, but it'll happen.
I'm
I think.
A big DeAndre Hopkins fan. That one hurt a little bit. I'm rooting for that guy.
Well, I'm sorry you're going through that, Bennett.
It's okay.
I hate to hear that you're going through that.
It's okay. It's okay.
Number 4.
Memphis wasn't the only college basketball team that opened the season yesterday. In fact, most of them did.
That's why I'm tired. I stayed up and watched this entire game for some reason.
Bro, what?
I know. I don't know what's wrong. I
had to talk about it for an hour this morning and didn't stay up and watch the whole thing.
Well, here's the thing is, first off, because you were talking to Munz, I didn't get to talk about it. Like, I give the Memphis Tigers a lot of credit because, dude, I'm watching that game last night, and so it's over, and I'm like, okay, I got a little college basketball fever. There is nothing. I mean, it was a just awful game. Like, no good teams played each other last night. Best I could tell, Memphis is the only team that played any other.
There were a few. Like, Texas played Ohio State.
Okay. There
were a few.
I guess Florida played USF.
Yeah.
Like, okay, fine.
Texas A&M played UCF.
Okay.
There were a few. Your point is true. It's junk.
I give Penny Hardaway and I give the athletic department a lot of credit for scheduling a game like that to start the season because you just don't see that in college basketball.
But you bring up a point.
Yeah.
You started all that by saying you were talking to Munz.
Yeah.
And you said, and I didn't get to talk to him. Does that bother you? Should we address that?
No. I meant
because I've noticed this before. Like when I sit in studio with Jess, like CJ just pop in and start talking to me.
Oh, I'll pop in whenever if I want to.
But sometimes like when I'm talking to, it's not like with Jessica, you're part of that, and with Vernon, you're a part of that. But if I just like bring on Michael Eaves, you never get to talk to Michael Eaves. You want to talk to Michael Eaves?
I've talked to Michael before.
Would you like to talk to Michael Eaves next Monday?
Michael before. Sure, I'll ask him a question. No, I really meant.
Do you feel left out?
No, I really meant I wanted to talk about the Tigers, the win.
Talk about it, Bennett.
Well, first the biggest thing, and I've said this before. You gotta get your emotions in check a little bit when you're gonna be online and tweeting during a basketball game. This goes for Grizzlies, Tigers, basketball in general, because it can change quickly.
Do you realize? Do you notice I almost never do that?
I never do either. In fact, I try to make it a point to watch the entire game before I say anything because, again, things can change quickly. And I saw a lot of this team sucks. Yep. Fire Penny Hardaway.
Oh, yeah.
This is going to be a disaster. And who knows what the season's going to be like? But that second half, they looked freaking awesome.
Right.
Like they looked great defensively, and they were able to score a little bit. So. That's why you gotta chill a little bit before these grand statements online during a basketball game.
I've been doing this long enough to know those first half tweets will come back and get you.
They'll come back and get you every time.
You gotta be careful with a first half tweet. You can tweet about a highlight, tweet about a dunk.
It's cool to give observations, but the grand statements.
Yeah, this team sucks. We're going to the NIT.
Right.
Fire the coach. None of those should ever be tweeted in the first half of a game.
Yeah, you got to be careful because it's a long game. Anything can happen. But no, I think just the one thing that stood out in that second half that I think can carry on throughout this season that I hope does is They looked good defensively, and we have seen Penny Hardaway coach good defensive teams before, and I hope that that's what this team can be consistent with throughout this season because it'll go a long way.
So, obviously, locally, Memphis win over Missouri was the big headline from the opening day of the college basketball season. But there were other headlines, like Cooper Flagg made his debut at Duke, and he got, I think, 17 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, like 3 steals. He just filled up the box score the way he's going to do. My little homie from Memphis, Cam Jones, up at Marquette. Did you see him?
I saw him.
32 points. I think it was 11 of 12 from the field.
Yeah,
something, or like
awesome.
10 of 12 from the field, or 12 of 14. He was terrific. He could be headed for Big East Player of the Year. Do you realize, and I'm not predicting this, but you could have, there's 5 power conferences now, right? It's the SEC, Big 12, Big 10, ACC, and the Big East. Those are the only conferences that are recognized as power conferences in the sport of men's basketball. Do you realize 2 of those 5 players of the year in those conferences could be Memphians? You could have Cam Jones at the Big East.
Matthew Morrell
at Ole Miss.
At Ole Miss. Yeah,
like you could have Matthew,
cool.
Matthew Morrell. If Ole Miss is good, and I think Ole Miss is going to be good, Matthew Morrell could be the SEC Player of the Year.
I'm excited about that game too because you've got obviously the Matthew Morrell Memphis tie-in. Musa, who played there, was it last season? It was last season. Yeah. So that one could be fun. That could be a fun early season game. For
we
the
might
Tigers.
get Matthew Morrell on.
Let's do it
that week before.
Let's do it. It'd be fun
before the game. So so Cam Jones was terrific. Easy win for Marquette. But the viral moment of the night, it came long after I was asleep. I was not staying up till 1:30 in the morning to watch this. I think for people who don't know, the game tipped at like 11:40.
Yeah.
No, 10:40 our time, 11:40 Eastern. Didn't conclude until around 12:30 Central, 1:30 Eastern. I didn't even make it the tip-off. I was out. But I got up this morning, put the replay on at 5 o'clock while I was prepping for everything. And, oh, buddy, I saw it.
I didn't like this.
I saw it. So
I didn't like this.
Here's the setup, and then we'll show it to you. Gonzaga played Baylor. It was the highest profile game of the night. Top 10 matchup in downtown Spokane. Gonzaga whipped them, buddy. It looked like what Baylor did to Gonzaga in the national championship game in 2021. Yeah. This is what Gonzaga did to Baylor last night. Just beat them to death. Took 33s, made a bunch of them. I think 13 of 31, something like that from 3. And so inevitably we end up in garbage time. It was a 38-point victory for Gonzaga. Garbage time. Mark Few's son, Joe, is a walk-on at Gonzaga. So Mark put his son in the game to get a little run. Problem is, Scott Drew didn't take all his starters out. So on one side of the court, you've got Joe Few, walk-on, who averaged like 7 points per game in high school at a private school in Spokane. All right?
Yep.
And on the other, you got VJ Edgecombe, the 5-star wing for Baylor, who's like maybe going to be a top 5 pick in the next NBA draft. So that's the setup.
Oh, no.
Let's see how it goes.
Okay.
Oh, that's a turnover, and we're in transition.
Get out of the way.
Oh, my God.
Oh.
Son.
He's concussed.
Oh, buddy. He tried hard. Watch this. He jumped. Get up! Oh, no.
You got to get out of the way.
This is...
Like he's laughing.
That's the one. Woo, that's the angle.
I know that hurt. I know that hurt. Yeah, I know that hurt.
Man, that's one of those where you don't realize who you jumping with, right? I bet you that's the first time Joe Few ever jumped with a future top 5 pick. And it don't go so well. Like that looked like what happened if you would have put me on a court with VJ Edgecombe.
Yes.
Like that's if you said, all right, GP, get out there and you're playing transition defense and whatever you got to do, you got to try to stop this dunk from happening. That's what it would look like.
Yeah, I mean,
we're all Joe Few.
I think that, like, first off, his dad didn't do him any favors because I think that if you know that their starters are still out there, I think you got to be like, hey, man, just like, if they get out in transition.
How about just get out of his way?
If they get out in transition, just like, we're up huge. Like,
well, you don't even talk. It's not even something you talk about. It's not even something you talk about. It's just like you just put your kid in the game. It's garbage time. You up by 40. Your kid's in the game. It's an awesome experience. And then, bam, something like that happens. Woo, buddy. He'll have that highlight forever.
Yeah,
I'm glad he was smiling. Like I'm glad he can laugh. He has the ability to laugh it off. But buddy, you ever want to feel old? Turn on a TV and see Mark Few's son in a Gonzaga uniform.
He'll be fine. Mark Few's a legend there. He'll get a spot on that coaching staff eventually. He's good. He'll be fine.
He'll be fine. I told the story on the On College Basketball podcast earlier. long time ago. I went to Spokane for a Gonzaga-Illinois game.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like December, big Saturday night primetime game.
Yep.
And the night before the game, I land. It was one of those like, hey, text me when you get here, and I was like maybe going to go to practice or something.
Yeah.
My flight got delayed. I just got there later than I was expecting to get there. And so I had missed practice. It was Friday night by the time I actually landed. And so I text Mark and I'm like, hey, just got here, running behind. I'm assuming you guys are done with practice. And he's like, yeah, but just come on over to the house. And I was like, okay, well, the staff's probably at the house and they're just watching film night before a game. Because I've been in a lot of these night before the game situations with a coaching staff.
Yeah.
And it's just a lot of just watching tape over and over and over again. I sat with Ben Hallen one night till like 1 o'clock in the morning at UCLA. I'm not exaggerating. His wife called at like 5:45 and said, what time are you getting home? And he said, I got one more game to watch and then I'll be right there. We were there till 1 in the morning.
Oh, jeez.
It's intense. Like these coaches, they're serious about this stuff. It's their job, their livelihood. So I pull into Mark Few's house and, knock on the door and somebody says, come in, and I just walk right in. And again, what I'm expecting is like, it's the staff and we're watching film and, maybe order Pete, whatever. It's literally Mark Few and his young son sitting at the dining room table playing what I remember as Go Fish. Like just playing a children's card game.
Yeah.
And that's when it really hammered home to me, like this guy's different. He's just a different than most of these basketball coaches. He's not ticking the same way. Because most of these guys are so maniacal. Like they would skip their kids' youth soccer game because they've got a game tomorrow and they need to prep. Like most coaches would just say, I can't be there, buddy, I'm busy. Like last night, I literally told my kids I was too busy to do something, right? Now, was I really? I don't know. I felt like I needed to be watching college basketball on the opening day of the season, plus the Grizzlies. I think I said there's like 3 things going on right now that I'm going to have to talk about publicly tomorrow.
Right.
I need to see these things. But did I really need to? Was I too busy? Because I couldn't have possibly been too busier than Mark Few was the night before a game against Illinois.
Yeah.
And yet he just made time for that.
I'm trying to be better.
We should all try to be better.
I'm trying to be better about that.
We should all try to be better.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You never get those days back. And I'm not good at it.
Right.
Like
there's going to be a point where they don't want to hang out with you.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
There's a phase. You lose your kids.
Yep.
You lose your kids. It's interesting. Your children, they love you and they look up to you and then they just want to be with you. And they're asking you every day, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do that? And then they get to a certain age and they don't ask anymore. And what you hope is that they come back around. Like you get them back when they're like, 19 or 20 or 23 or whenever. But yeah, and I'm not speaking from any position of expertise. I spoke to a class at Ole Miss last week, and a young woman stood up and we're doing a Q&A session at the end, and she said, so explain to us with all the travel and multiple jobs how you handle the work-life balance. I was like, I don't handle it at all. Not well. I will look back on my entire life with regret. I'm certain of it. I don't handle it well at all.
Yeah.
But Mark Few handles it better than any basketball coach. And when I watched his son get murdered on television last night, that just reminded me of that moment. I walked into the house. I didn't expect to see a man and a little boy playing cards at the dining room table. That's not what head coaches do the night before games. But Mark Few is just wired that way. There's another story. When Gonzaga was here in the NCAA tournament several years back. And they were, I don't remember if it was first and second round or Sweet 16 and Elite 8, but the Zags were here.
Yep.
And Mark was like, hey, why don't we meet at that little Starbucks right there, wherever it is, right there, and get coffee tomorrow morning, and the game was later that day or night or something, whatever. And so he texts me early in the morning, and he's like, hey, you're not going to be able to make it. And I was like, okay, no problem, of course. You got an NCAA tournament game today. I was surprised you even thought you had time to go get a cup of coffee and catch up. So I was like, hey, no big deal. We're good. See you tonight. So I go to the game. Whatever happened. I have no recollection of that. But he was like, hey, Gary, again, I'm sorry for, this morning standing you up or whatever. I was like, what are you talking about? It's the NCAA tournament game tonight. You're busy. It's fine. I was like, he's like, yeah, my wife just wanted to go for a walk down on the river. And so I told her I would stay in the hotel with the kids. And I was like, do you know what would happen if Ellen Calipari told John Calipari the morning of a game, hey, I want to go for a walk, so you watch the kids and I'll be back later? He'd be like, I've got a game in 3 hours. What are you talking about? And yet he's a different dude, man.
Yeah.
And then and now little Joe's all grown up and getting dunked on by BJ Edgecombe. But it's a fun highlight, wasn't it?
Hey, he'll get another chance to go in a game and redeem himself. I'm sure they'll be in that situation plenty of times this season.
The only way to redeem yourself is a at the rim block of a future draft pick. Yeah. And I don't know if he's built to do that.
So keep jumping.
Keep jumping.
Yeah, keep
jumping. Hey, there's a lesson in there for all of us. Keep jumping.
Keep jumping.
Keep jumping.
Number 5.
All right. I put this here because I didn't think we were going to inadvertently stumble into it in the opening segment. But it is Election Day.
It is Election Day, yes.
Bennett's going to vote later today?
I will.
I'm going to vote later today. Do you judge people who don't vote? Like when you hear somebody say, I'm not even going to vote, does it make you think differently of them?
It does. I think that if you're a registered voter, that, it's an obligation. I think as a citizen, you should do your research and figure out how you want to vote and then go exercise that right. Yes, right. I do. It's important. I mean, it's just, it's important for our country, and it shouldn't be taken for granted. Yeah, there are people all around this world who would kill for that right.
For sure.
So
people have killed for that right.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I had this conversation with my oldest son last night. I believe this is the first presidential election he is eligible to vote in.
That's cool.
But he said something like, I don't know if I'm going to vote. And I said, what? Why? Because I watch him, like he consumes, like he consumes all this stuff.
Yeah.
I see him walking around with his phone listening to, like he's not ignorant to the process, but he was like, I don't know if I know enough. And I was like, you know more
than a lot of people that are going to vote. Yeah.
Like there'll be 80 million people who vote today don't know less than you.
Yeah.
But and then I was like, hey, I don't think you really got to know that much in this election. I heard somebody else say this. I don't want to act like I'm stealing it, but you're voting on. At some point, do you just vote values? Like what matters to you?
Yeah.
Like what are you comfortable with? And like you don't have to know a lot about the details of either candidate's policies to I think reach a pretty clear conclusion where you fall in line with these two candidates. Like I've mentioned, we're a long ways away from two similar politicians that just have 3 or 4 different beliefs in these areas, and one's a Republican, one's a Democrat, and so figure it out. There's a undeniable contrast between these two people and these two parties right now, and that doesn't necessarily mean anything other than exactly what I just said. They're very different. Not here to tell you one's good and one's bad. You can figure that out on your own. But they're very different.
Yep.
They're very different. And I think you should. I just don't. I don't. When I hear somebody say I don't even vote, I'd never go, oh yeah, that sounds awesome.
No.
I just go,
why?
Yeah. Like some people take real pride in it.
Yeah.
Like they like to tell you they're not going to vote.
Yeah, I don't get that.
And I just don't. I don't know. And I imagine it can be easy to get to that place because here's the truth. Our votes don't matter.
Sure.
There's nothing is going to change in this election based on what I do this afternoon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our votes, and I don't mean because I'm voting for Vice President Harris in Mississippi. I mean, if I went and voted for former President Trump in Mississippi, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's coming down to like a handful of states.
Yeah,
right.
I guess maybe that's the explanation some people would say is like, what? Okay, I could go vote, but it affects the outcome in no way whatsoever. So why am I going to spend an hour of my life or 10 minutes of my life even doing something that does not matter?
But then if that sentiment rubbed off on someone else and then rubbed off on someone else and then rubbed off on someone else, then it it could change things and maybe for the worse. I don't know. Like that's why I think it's important for everyone that has the ability to should go vote.
I just don't ever want to sit there and be complaining about the country I live in and somebody say, well, who did you vote for? And I say, I didn't even bother.
Right.
I don't ever want that to be the answer to that question.
For sure.
So I'll bother. Will it matter at the end of the day? No, but it'll matter to me.
Yes, I completely agreed.
So I'll see you.
I'll see you at the polls.
I'll see you at the polls.
Yeah, sounds good.
I'll see you at the polls. Be back with GP's Carryout.
John Cena was spilling life lessons on this stream, bro. So the best thing I watched all week, John Cena on the Cassinet stream. By the way, he stole your hairdo. You got to make a phone call.
I was about to say, you showed me a little bit of this clip because I saw the messy room, and the only thing I could see is John Cena's hair. I mean, come on, bro.
He stole your bar.
It's
he stole
literally identical.
He stole your flow, bar for bar, word for word.
How is mine more gray than his, though?
Tune in to Grind City Wrestling weekly on the Grind City Media app and on the Grind City Media YouTube channel.
You know, we got to talk about Scottie Pippen Jr. Scottie has inked that contract, and he is now officially off the two-way. He is a member of the regular rotation.
Well-deserved, from my opinion. Like, he straight up earned this one from all the time put in last season with the injuries to Summer League.
Hey, Grizzlies fans, be sure to tune in to Grizzbeat, where the panel and I break down all things Grizzlies and take a look at the rest of the NBA as well. The show is live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
There's no substitute for experience, the knowledge gained from having been there before, and the passion to share what you know to make everyone around you better. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies Checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing beats catching your Grizzlies IRL, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back with tickets to every upcoming matchup. Whether you're catching the Grizzlies at home or on the road, you'll find tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Grizzlies tickets today. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside again soon, Memphis.
Justin Timberlake. I'm bringing sexy back. The Forget Tomorrow World Tour. Live in Memphis. Justin Timberlake. FedEx Forum, Saturday, November 23rd. Get tickets now at livenation.com. The brand new single Selfish is available to stream and download now. If I get jealous, I can't help it. For more, hit up justintimberlake.com.
Welcome back, Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South. Let's wrap this up and get on with it. GP's Carryout.
It's time for GP's Carryout. One final segment filled with stuff to take with you. It's not everything you need to know, but it's most of it. What did we learn today?
A whole bunch of stuff, but we mostly focused in the first hour on Tiger basketball. Jason Munz was in studio. He, of course, from the Commercial Appeal. Nice season opening victory for Penny Hardaway's Tigers last night. PJ Haggerty went out and got 25 in his regular season debut. So if you're looking for a possible star of the program, I know we didn't enter the preseason with very many recognizable faces, but that young guy could turn into one pretty quickly. He was terrific last night. Memphis now 1-0. Missouri has now lost 20 straight games, 18 in the SEC last season, the opener in the SEC tournament, and then the regular season opener against Memphis last night. Let's see when we think Missouri can get them a win. I'm starting to feel bad for them guys.
Okay. Hey, by the way, while you're looking at that, a guy that I thought really stood out last night, not in the box score, but he was a guy that when Penny brought him in this offseason, it was like, okay, well, he didn't really do much at his other school. We'll see. But Barako Koji, dude, he wrecks things out there. Like, I mentioned like the defense looked really
Look
good.
how excited you are about Tiger basketball.
Dude, he was a big part. I mean, I was just watching. It was like, when Penny went and got him in the offseason, it was like, okay, well, he didn't like put up big numbers necessarily. I think he was George Mason guy. But man, every time he was out there on the court last night, I noticed him.
He played 18 minutes. He got 4 rebounds. Penny used 9 players. We used to talk about, rotation and all the substitution patterns and stuff. And like last night, he had 3 starters play 30 minutes. 4 play at least 25.
Musa looked good.
Musa did look good.
Yeah, Musa looked good last
I've
night.
always thought he's a useful college player.
For sure.
Never going to be what some of us thought he might be, but a useful college player.
Yeah.
Comes off the bench last night, 14.7 rebounds and 2 blocks in 19 minutes. That's an efficient 19 minutes for the Lausanne Collegiate School graduate. So, nice opening night for Penny and the Tigers. Missouri, by the way, next up for them. They play Howard on Friday. That'll do it.
You got to get Howard.
You got to get Howard.
You got to beat Howard.
Like, if you
lose to Howard, and don't do this to us, we need the freaking resume builder.
We don't need you losing to
Howard.
Howard.
Come on, don't lose to Howard.
Missouri. Now, seriously, if you're a Memphis fan, you start rooting hard for Missouri.
Yes.
You need them to be good so that you can say we beat somebody good, because that's how you get an at-large bid of the NCAA tournament. You sit down with the selection committee and you tell them about all the good stuff you did.
Mm-hmm.
What's today's biggest game?
Well, no NBA games.
That's right, no NBA.
We're going to college football.
Oh, are you taking me to the MAC?
Bennett, you ready to go to the MAC?
This will be a first this season.
We're going to do it 7 o'clock on ESPN. It's Miami, Ohio. Alma mater of the great Wally Zerbiak against Ball State. We're doing it in Muncie, Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
Miami, Ohio is a 12.5-point favorite on the road. The total's 48.5. How you going to act?
Hold on, bro. You don't just walk into Ball State and blast them. Come on. What are we talking about?
Ball State's 3-5. What are we talking about?
Ball State is 3-5, coming off a win over Northern Illinois at home. Like, come on, man. You don't just Hey, also, Ball State, they held it close with Vanderbilt 2 weeks ago. They lost 24-14. Vanderbilt's freaking good.
I'm going to take your word for it, Bennett.
Give me the Ball State Cardinals, and I'm not even thinking twice about it. Give me the Ball State Cardinals at home.
I feel obligated to point out to you.
What's going on?
Western Michigan went to Muncie and won 45-42.
Yeah, but all I see is Ball State was able to score 42 points in that game. They're not getting blasted. You're not walking into Ball State Cardinal Stadium. I don't know if it's Cardinal Stadium. You're not walking in there and blasting Ball State. That's going to be a competitive game on this Tuesday night of action. So I'm in.
We're going to do it. It's at Schumann Stadium in Muncie, Indiana.
You don't walk into Schumann and just blast the Cardinals, dude. You don't do that.
That's what they're saying.
No.
That's certainly what they're saying. Miami, Ohio. Bennett says take Ball State plus the 12.5. That's his play tonight.
What are we watching on TV?
Or just watching election, right?
Yeah.
You just got to
That's
watch
what we're watching.
I like it. I like it when the polls close and somebody's ready to make a projection.
A statement, yeah.
It's like, and the polls have closed in Maine.
Mm-hmm.
And CNN is now comfortable reporting Maine's electoral votes will go to Vice President Harris. I like that.
Yeah.
I love the election.
I like it too. Tonight's going to be interesting.
I don't like all the rioting stuff. I hope we don't do that again.
Please
I hope we don't do that again.
No, but I do think that, like...
Will there be a riot tonight or tomorrow?
Well, I don't...
When do you think... I know you're probably in the group text with all your buddies from the Capitol. When is the next riot scheduled? When you guys getting back to your roots?
I mean, that's just... I think that's something you don't put on the calendar. Right? You can't do that. It's got to be like spur of the moment, right?
Oh, no. Actually, it wasn't spur of the moment. Very well planned.
That was pretty planned. That was pretty planned.
It was planned and incited.
I think now
it was planned and incited. What are you talking about? There was nothing spur of the moment about it. It was planned and incited.
I think if they're going to pull that off again, it can't be planned and incited. I don't think that.
They'll be ready for him at the Capitol this time.
Yeah, dude.
You better find a new thing to storm, Bennett.
I wonder, can we get a shot of the Capitol, by the way? There's got to be a fence up, at least.
I agree. Put call WWE and get one of the big cages that they use for the cage match.
Just put that thing in the Hell in a Cell.
Put the Capitol in a Hell in a Cell.
Airlift Hell in a Cell to the Capitol and just put that thing right over it, and it'll be nice and protected.
Oh, by the way, we didn't even get to talk about wrestling yesterday.
Oh, yeah, what happened? I didn't watch Raw last night. There was too much going on.
Did you watch Crown Jewel?
Yeah, I did. It was good. It was okay.
I was heartbroken. They pinned Roman Reigns.
Yeah. I think
that's the OTC original tribal chief.
I think what we're doing here is we're making Roman a sympathetic figure.
I don't like it. I don't like seeing my heroes lose.
We're making him a sympathetic. The comeback is going to be, we got to build his comeback now, right?
I just like him winning all the time.
I liked that too.
My single favorite thing about wrestling, other than, Liv Morgan probably.
Yeah.
Is I just like watching Roman Reigns walk into the ring. That's my favorite thing.
It's one of my
I don't even like watching him wrestle. If you told me, hey, WrestleMania is tonight and you can only watch one thing, his entrance or his match, I'd say, I want the entrance. I like the entrance way more than I like it too. I like the entrance way more than I like the match.
Yeah.
I don't care about the matches.
I like the matches.
I don't like it when they pin Roman Reigns like that.
Yeah.
It broke my heart. And I just thought the whole thing was, I didn't like Crown Jewel.
Oh, Crown Jewel sucks.
I don't love it.
It just does.
And then last night
it's a throwaway.
And then last night was a pre-tape show.
Yeah. Crown Jewel is just not. It's definitely towards the bottom of pay-per-views or whatever we call premium live events.
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. Anyway, back to the election. Coverage be on every network, every cable. It'd be everywhere. You can watch it wherever you want to watch
you'd be
it.
Making a mistake if you weren't covering it, I would think.
The election?
Although I wonder if I would zag, like if I was the CW, like would I zag? They probably are. I doubt they're having election
I don't
coverage.
think CW do it. But like, what if Fox just decided to throw on the Masked Singer all night?
If it's all about ratings, I do wonder if like a network was like, hey, like we could put on like Frozen and it would do massive numbers, or we could put on this Maction game.
Yeah, I think probably just run with the election.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's a big election. So just watch it wherever you want to watch it, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes.
What's the best thing we've read?
Jason Munz was in studio with me earlier after being in FedEx Forum last night for the Tiger season opening victory over Missouri. He's got a nice piece up at commercialappeal.com. If you haven't read that yet, go check it out.
What's on tap for tomorrow?
Oh, buddy, who knows? I mean, who knows?
I'm excited.
Who knows what's on tap for tomorrow? Do you think it's going to get ugly? Do you predict ugliness?
I mean, I think that we're at a point now where, and I don't think this is unique to like the Trump era. I think this is just where, because it gets so tight with these swing states now, I do think we're kind of in a point with presidential elections where you're not going to see any, like we used to know, like someone would concede, we would know the night of. I wonder if
there's one dude still ain't conceded the last one, so don't be waiting on that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I wonder if we're ever going to be at the point anymore where we know for a fact it's solidified who the president's going to be the night of the election, or if it's just
yes, we will get there.
You
again,
think so?
But it will not be tonight.
I don't think it will be tonight either. I think it'll drag out for a while. Yeah, I think it'll be close, and I think it'll drag out.
Do you predict? Just you turn on the news and you go, oh my God, look what's going on.
I think it'll get contentious. I don't think it'll get as contentious as last time, but I could be wrong.
If he loses, it will get very, very ugly because he will never say he lost. He is already calling the thing rigged. You realize that, right?
Yeah.
He's already saying they are cheating.
Well, I'm hoping for the best. I'm hoping for everyone to have a good time, and whoever wins, we all just say, hey, congratulations.
That is not the way this is going to go.
All right, GP. Well, that's what I hope happens, okay?
There's a 0% chance of that. Like, there's no chance of that. You realize that. This isn't even like I wonder. Like, if he loses, he will not concede the election. He will say it was stolen from him again. And his supporters, a good percentage of them, will believe that. Because they believe anything he says, even when there's documentation that he's lying. It's a wild thing. This is a man who will, like, just lie, and you can prove that he's lying, and a decent percentage of his supporters still won't believe that. It's wild out there. So if there's a chance that it'll get very, very, very ridiculous.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
I'm hoping for the best too, Bennett, but I'm not expecting it. I'm hoping for the best, but I don't know that I expect it. Either way, we'll be here tomorrow at 10. Chris Vernon going to join me tomorrow?
Vernon's going to be here.
All right, it'll be me and Vernon election talk.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, that'll be fun.
I love it. We'll break it all down.
Me and Vernon breaking it all down.
Let's go.
Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll enjoy mine. And we'll be back here tomorrow at 10. Till then, be careful, be kind, be good. Wrap your hood.